Going to be plenty of time during the day today to talk and kind of work with each other and play around with the system. So I want to get started so that in this hour and a half, people are feeling reasonably comfortable leaving that they're going to be able to perform the tasks that they need to perform. First of all, I want to introduce Linda and I are here. I don't know where Linda went. She's back in the back corner there. Mary Clevenow is helping us out today. Mary is one of our newest student services administrative assistants. She took Kim's place and came to us from Midwest Express and is fun to work with. She gets stuff done, so I'm sure you'd all like to use that as an opportunity for you to send stuff her way. But Mary, can you kind of tell folks what you do?
Yeah, I'm like the assistant for all the special coordinators, guidance for Phyllis, the nurses. I do registration for all the autism. I'm sure I've talked to them a couple times. The Autism Essentials and Trauma Informed Care, the NBCI, first aid courses, AED, CPR, things like that. Records request for kiddos from 6th grade to 12th grade. Anything else?
She did those posters for us too, so that was helpful for me. And as you may or may not understand, that the state is implementing a new way for us to do our transition paperwork for IAGs. Within weeks, you will no longer have the opportunity to use OASIS to do your transition forms. It will eventually disappear. I'm not telling you it's going to happen tomorrow, but it could happen sooner than later. So be prepared for that. And you shouldn't, after today, any IEPs, I would imagine anything that's starting next week, you could start using this system as the way to do it. And that means today we have to get you set up. I think it's a positive. I think it's an easy way for us to make sure we're doing it right. There's system catches involved in this all the way through. While you do it, it doesn't let you go on without filling in some blanks. When you're done, it doesn't let you lock it unless the things are right. So there are some catches. And once you lock it, okay, that doesn't mean it's getting sent right to DPI. We still have to send it. And we're even asking you not to lock it. And we'll talk about that later. But even then, it gives you a report of the things that should be fixed. The difficulty there is once you lock it, technically that would be after your IEP meeting, and they give you a list of things you have to fix. That means you have to go back and have another meeting or do changes without a meeting, and you have to add all that paperwork. So as always, you're going to want to do it right the first time. And hopefully today will give you enough tools and enough ideas of getting it done correctly. But the first step, okay, this is kind of a two-step process. Step one is you have to self-register for the Web Access Management System. That's a state system that has a number of things on it that the state manages systems there. And one of the systems they're going to manage is the PTP application. And they're doing it for DPI. Your first step is to follow these steps and get registered as a WAMS user. I've had the coordinators, I've asked the coordinators to do this ahead of time. The ones that have are going to be circulating and helping you if you're stuck. Some key things here to realize is when you get to this web access, you get to this section, you got to find the thing that says self-registration. You have to scroll down a little bit. It's not big print. It might be smaller print. You click on that and you get started. It is picky about addresses and things being in there. It'll tell you what you need to fix. Joe was having a problem with his zip code. I don't know if he got it fixed or not. But what I found is when I had problems, if I didn't erase the whole thing and start over, it didn't work, so I would erase it, delete the whole spot, and then start over. Once you finish that registration and send it, they're going to send you an email, and you do this with a lot of registrations. Then click that and go, and you go to your email. You have to check into your email. What?
I figured out why, because if you click same address because they want you to put address in twice, or if your mailing address is different, if you check the box same address as above, then when you go back, if you don't delete it all the way and retype it in, the one down below was the same as it was before. So that's why you have to go in and change it again.
Okay. I do want to say this, is when you get to this indicator 13 page, which is that DPI page that has all the tools for learning to use this, we're going to go back to that, so either web market or be prepared to go back there, because that's what we'll use the rest of it. We'll start there for the rest of the day. There's a demo site you'll see there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 10 minutes for you to have time to self-register right now. Okay? Here's what you need to do. On your tables you have Post-its. We need the information that we have up here. We need your name, your WAMS ID, and all the schools that you're connected with. So if I'm Dave Payton and I work at eAchieve, I need to put down I work at eAchieve. If I am, Judy used to work at Central and South, she needs to have both schools listed. So if you work at multiple schools, list all the schools you have employment with or work with kids at. Okay? This is important because your kids won't show up if the school you have them for is not listed. If you're not done registering, feel free to continue the process while you listen to me and each other. Hoping that most of you are already in. This basically becomes the system that we're going to use going forward for the I-8, or the transition page of the IEP. Before you can be granted permission to use it, we had to have this self-registration. So I thought today would be the best opportunity for us to get that done. And now going forward, we already have Linda's back there and Mary Ann keying you guys in. You'll get an email when you're in the system and ready to go. Okay?
If we held an IEP, say, last week, that we haven't filled out our I-8 yet, we don't have to do
No, if anything dated before today, and actually, you know, November 1st is technically our date.
Okay.
Okay, so any IEP that takes place, I had one this week. You know, I didn't turn it in yet, but I'm going to leave it on the old system.
Okay, thank you.
That gives you a little bit of time to go through and look at things. Yeah. It should be on the email that's sent to you. Okay. I'll look at that next time we're done. I'm going to move on. I'll just leave it there. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about best practice. High school people, for the last 3 years, we've been auditing. So you've had this experience where we've talked about the questions that are asked for the audit. Linda and I have come out and talked to all the high schools because the audits always took place for ages 16 and above. Okay, so those middle school folks and people and elementary folks way back when that had 13-year-olds that had transition pages, they were never included in the audit. This new form is for everybody that will turn 14 during the time frame of the IEP through 21. So that's why we invited all the folks that would be teaching individuals in that age range. Okay. Key to remember that you must use this form now. When you're done, you'll get a PDF file that you'll be able to print out, slide it into your IEP, just like you would the I-8, and it's ready to go. And you'll see all that later. Let's talk about best practices a little bit, and then we're going to get back and do some work again. Remember, when we're working with kids that are in transition age, the expectation is that we invite the student to the meeting. If the student isn't invited, that's an automatic no, and you're not compliant. Okay? That's the fact. It becomes a no, and you're not compliant. If the student doesn't come, that's a different story. Okay? Or if something happens, but you need to invite the student. You want them to participate too, but you know, we can work around some of that. But make sure you invite. Date, what? In writing. Now, it can be a note on the other IEP, on the other invitation. Transition invitations will send an invite to the student. So the last IEP I did both. I did an invite for the parents and a transition invite for the kid. Or you can do a transition invite and write the parents' names on it when you send it home. If you're emailing, just type it in. Those are things you can do. But you also have to start thinking about, are any agencies going to be invited? Well, before you can even do an invitation or invite an outside agency, you have to get that consent. So these are things you have to do ahead of time. Get that consent for the outside agencies to come. Some people say, well, I always have them sign it there. That's fine, but get that verbal consent beforehand. Date the date that you got the verbal consent and have them sign when they come, or send it home and have them send it back. Those are all fine, but it needs to be done prior to the meeting. That consent has to come before you invite the person to come to the meeting. Now, many middle school folks, I understand you don't know if they're going to need it, that's fine. You can say they're not going to be included, and then you wouldn't have to get consent or invite. Complete age-appropriate assessments. This is a big one. We do have assessments around the districts that we use. We have transition planning inventories. Needs to be done, and it should be going on an ongoing basis. It shouldn't be something you do the weeks before an IEP meeting and that's it. It should be ongoing and consistent.
Is there going to be like a standardized one for every, all secondary, or because I can tell you it's within the SLD department itself, there's different transition,
Yeah, assessments pertain to individuals.
Right.
There isn't one right answer for all kids of what you want to use. What you want to do is come up with that toolbox of assessments that you like, and from a variety of places that you can use for specific situations once the situation arises. Sometimes you get a good idea of what a kid's interests and needs are by watching them in tech ed class. That observation can be one of the best assessments you do with a kid, or in art class, or in business skills class, or in any class. That kind is informal assessment. So don't be afraid to do that. Best practices at the meeting. The state really wants us to focus on using this and using it with parents at the meeting. So you would use a projection device or have a computer and be able to turn it around and share with parents at the meeting, going through the process with them. The question comes up, does that mean I have to type it all in there? No. You can do it all ahead of time. Just arrive there and go through the process with the parents. In front of you, you should all have gotten a handout. Two colored handouts, one's for parents and students, kind of filling them in on how to do it. We're encouraging you to tell parents to go to this site and have parents go through the practice, the demonstration site that you're all going to use today. Have parents go there and try it out. They can become familiarized with what you're going to do at the IEP, and you don't have to take that time before at the IEP meeting to do that. Remember, well, I think this goes without saying, complete all portions of the PTP 1 through 22.